All right, GM everyone. We are here with Keep Down's Weird, episode 3. I'm here as always, joined by Index Card. We got a great show tonight. We are doing the Onion episode. We got some fun games here. We're joined by Onion. That's Onion with 7 N's. We got some fun games. At the end of this episode, we're going to do a live unboxing of Index Card's Cryptodes Pinata. We're going to bust it open with this wrench. Stick around. We'll be right back. GM, Index Card. GM, how are you?
GM Panda, I'm pretty excited because this is our first guest on Keep Nouns Weird specifically. And yeah, no better guest than Onion, I think, because it's, our topics are kind of diverse and interesting, and most importantly, I guess, weird.
Oops, I was muted there. Onion, welcome to the show. That's Onion with 7 N's, right? Or I guess 8 total. How did you come up with 7?
Yeah, pleasure to be on the show. Honestly, so the Onion handle was obviously taken because it's a pretty, short, basic word. So then I was trying to think, okay, 0x Onion, that was taken too. So then I was like, all right, how do I make this handle be something that is not taken but still, definitive? So I was like, all right, I'll just make it really long and not a bunch of ends, and it worked out. I feel like it's a thing now, and yeah, that's kind of the story. Nothing really super exciting, but yeah.
Did you try every combo of ends until in incremental fashion? You just went for it.
I think I probably could have gotten away with 3 or 4 ends, but I was like, okay, if I'm gonna be putting extra ends, I want it to be significant, and so I just I want it even longer and put 7 in there. Not too long, not too short. A perfect amount of extra ends for the handle, I would say.
Yeah, I think it feels right to me.
Awesome. Quick disclaimer here. This is entertainment. This is a fun show. We're chronicling the weird things that happen in nouns. We're not giving legal advice or financial advice. I want to remind everyone this show is sponsored by Noun Styles Prop House Round. I believe it was Prop House, what was this, around 14, 15, something like that. Keep Nouns Weird live stream. Big thanks to Little Nouns and Nounsel who pushed us over the top. We are great. Really excited here to be with Onion. In fact, earlier this afternoon, we worked on some new PFPs Index, didn't we?
Yeah, we always kind of like to mess with our PFPs. I like to play in studio.noundry, make a bunch of traits. And what I really personally like is doing a lot of variations on the same trait. And so I got the idea to kind of add these tiers to all sorts of noggles. And so instead of just noggles, they're kind of like onion noggles. And so, but I'm rocking the multicolored ones in honor of the color that Onion sports. So
nice. Yeah, Studio.Noundry is one of my favorite tools to play in when I'm bored. I feel like you can do so many things. I liked your grease one, by the way. You did a study of the grease accessory.
Yeah, exploration in grease, I called it. But that one was a lot of fun, and I kind of would like to maybe someday see variations of that in the project, but I don't know. The grease is good as is, but thanks. Yeah.
As we get into the Onion theme tonight, Onion, there's sort of a controversy on the internet as to whether chewing bubble gum while chopping onion sort of helps stave off the tears. Do you have an opinion on that controversy? Good idea to chew gum when you're chopping onions or not?
I've never experienced that. I've never it's my first time hearing of that. So I've never actually done that, but I kind of believe that like if you believe it's gonna help, it's probably gonna help. Um, whether you call it like placebo or manifestation or whatever. Um, I think if you believe that's gonna work, then I would recommend trying it. And I feel like it probably will.
Awesome.
If you don't believe it though, you might still end up crying.
I've got my version here with the bubble gum. I've just got one tier. Maybe it should be over here. But I'm a huge fan of the multicolored noggles. Huge fan of the yellow orange. I don't own any, but I like the pink purple, and always fun to be sporting a different look today. Yeah, so this show is going to be all about onions, all about you. We got some questions, some games. Let's start with kind of here. Let's peel the layers of the onion and start with kind of your origin story for nouns. I genuinely don't know sort of how you got into nouns and kind of wherever you'd like to start, whatever makes sense. How did you get into nouns?
Yeah, sure. So let's see. I think the first kind of like my entry into nouns was probably so I kind of knew vaguely of the project like through the latter half of 2021, after they were after it had been founded, obviously first couple months, that sort of thing. And then I think in February or so, I don't remember specifically of 2022, I like saw Lost Nouns. So I don't know if y'all are familiar with Lost Nouns, but Lost Nouns was a derivative by I think CDT 12B noun, I think Meshup. Um, and basically what it was they took a bunch of old traits that like got scrapped during the creative process of nouns, and they made a nouns derivative out of those old traits. And so I thought that was just like super cool, like kind of like a way of minting or like putting archival work on chain and that sort of thing. And it was like a pretty accessible derivative also. And so it was also one of the first nouns forks, because they did like I think they did 2 auctions a day for until the collection minted out. But that was the first kind of anything I did that was nouns related. I just thought it was cool. Yeah, that's it. Exactly. And so I collected a Lost Noun, kind of was following along, and then Lil Nouns, when that came out, that was kind of when I first started diving even deeper. So let's say that's, I think, May 2022. And from there, I was just kind of more and more following the ecosystem and stuff like that. And I just been seeing a lot of people who like I started recognizing on Twitter and stuff like that. And then I think it was July when I was like, okay, I kind of want to like really dive into this, and so I created an Anon account, and the kind of the first things I posted were like just like threads about nouns. So like one was like, oh, nouns cost tens of thousands of dollars. What are some ways to get involved in nouns, without actually spending up all that money? Because obviously, you have little nouns, you have these different sub DAOs, or you can just kind of hang out. All those ways are like ways to kind of participate in nouns. And so, yeah, my voice cracked. That's awkward. But yeah, since then I've just kind of been participating in the ecosystem more, trying to learn more about it, things like that, and writing and sharing thoughts along the way. That's kind of the arc, I would say. No single real moment, I would say. It's just kind of the more and more time I spent, the more I started to kind of like fall in love with the mechanism and the model and all that stuff. And then once I actually started getting involved in the community, so to speak, that was when I think I really started enjoying it and that sort of thing. Yeah.
Is there a particular moment, maybe a tweet or a Discord comment or anything early on that sticks out, something that encouraged you to go further or deeper or kind of deepened your connection?
Yeah, so I think part of it was I would say 2 things. I don't remember when exactly this occurred, but I think there was a moment where I kind of realized that the model and the structure was sort of like elegant, like in the way that it was like self propagating, or self uh proliferating, or however what you want to call it. Like the fact that there's a clear mechanism toward like, okay, money goes into auctions, or money via auctions goes in the treasury is spent on uh spreading the brand, spreading the thesis, the ethos, all that stuff. And then as that stuff spreads, demand flows back into the auctions, and it kind of is this self perpetuating loop. And I thought that was like just so elegant and made so much more sense compared to a lot of other yeah, the flywheel is exactly what a lot of people call it. I just thought that made so much more sense, like intuitively, than the real structure that we had kind of seen in most PFPs and NFT projects, which was like, okay, a bunch of people buy in at once, and then you kind of are waiting and hoping that some team of anonymous people or even docs people, whatever, like you're kind of just hoping that they are gonna do stuff to make your bags go up. And I just thought that like that it didn't seem like that was like a model that made sense compared to this one where it was just kind of like organically spreading over time by these sort of like forces that were just acting on their own. So that was what made me very interested. I would say when I first like grokked that flywheel. And then the other part that I thought was really cool was that like this other thing like I came to, which was like, okay, nouns DAO is very exclusive, right? It costs, at some points it was costing 200, 300 grand in USD to enter nouns DAO. But nouns is very inclusive. It's CCO, it's for builders and contributors and things like that. Anybody can kind of be a part of nouns without having to put in any money at all. And so I liked that kind of dichotomy. I found it interesting. Whereas you look at, again, comparing to other NFT projects, and I don't want to like put anyone's bags down or anything like that. I'm just saying like if you look at other NFT projects, you're not really part of the community unless you own the NFT, right? You don't see people who like apes without like if they don't own apes or like stuff like that, right? So I like that it was inclusive, and like it was kind of a you didn't need to spend money to be a part of a community. You could just kind of choose, you make the choice like, hey, do I want to be a part of this? Do I want to engage with this? And then from there you kind of move forward. It's up to you. You don't need to spend money. You don't need to actually own the NFT, that sort of thing. So that, I think those two realizations, one, the flywheel, and then two, like the inclusiveness and just the not needing to like do other stuff, not needing to put money forth or not needing to own the token. I thought that was like a really cool aspect of it. And so those things kind of combined me to actually start participating, and myself not needing to own the token was very made me easy to do that, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, and so you are you a delegate now at this point? Do you vote?
Yeah. So I have one noun delegated to me as of a couple of weeks ago. I don't even know the person who delegated. They just like replied to one of my tweets. I'm like, hey, I delegated my noun to you, and I was like, oh, that's awesome, thank you. But yeah, so now right now I have one vote, and then
You know what noun you has been delegated to you? What noun number?
I don't know the number off the top of my head. Their Twitter handle is it's like let me see what noun it is. I know the head is like lips.
I'm trying to pull it up now. Let's see if I can get it. But
yeah, I'm going on Agora. I think that will show the actual noun.
But yeah, your like kind of process of getting sucked into nouns is very similar to me. Like it took me a while though before I kind of realized that you really didn't actually need to own any element of a noun or anything to like get involved. And for me specifically, it kind of like took a few different members of the community to kind of show that to me. And so like I learned from a few different members, and I was just kind of wondering if there were anybody in the kind of ecosystem that you look to kind of like pave a way for you to get involved or not. I know you mentioned Lost Nouns, but were there any other people that kind of showed you the way? Like for me, CDT obviously was like a big inspiration. Not that I'm at that level, but yeah, just kind of curious.
Yeah, I think so. Definitely, I'd say like probably 4156 was like his kind of like thought leadership and that sort of thing. Like definitely, I talked earlier about the flywheel and grokking that. I think he was definitely like reading his like tweets and stuff like that was very influential in that regard. And I think also like he followed me when I had like I think like 12 or 15 followers after like a thread I had posted. And so I think that moment was like, oh wow, this is cool. Like this person that I had kind of just like looked up to is now, following me after like one thread. So that was like something that I think validated like, hey, maybe I, should invest in this. Like maybe I'm writing things that, people care about or like people find interesting, that sort of thing. So I would say him, and then also Elad. So on the Verbs team, he actually is was the first person I think I ever doxed myself in real life too. So we actually met at DEF CON, and he there I was, it was October, so I kind of, my account was like 2 or 3 months old, and he had kind of like talked to me, and we just been chatting about nouns and stuff like that, and he kind of convinced me like, hey, you should, try to like invest more time, like, you can, I think people really like what you have to say, stuff like that. And so I would say those two are probably the two figures that I can kind of point out early on, who like convinced me to get more involved and that sort of thing. I would say.
How did you meet a lad? Just like in DMs, or how did that come about?
Yeah, I just said that I was going to DEF CON. I was like, hey, I'm going to DEF CON. If anyone's there, let me know. And then he reached out, and then we met up in Bogota very briefly, and we talked for like 20 minutes. But yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, Index, you have anything else on this topic?
I just dropped in like a screenshot
yeah,
of the nouns
yeah,
Agora, but yeah, those are those are like two pretty good people to look
Wait.
towards in nouns.
This is an imposter. There's only one N here, two N's.
Wow, yeah, I wrote this a while ago. I should probably update this. But
We could just look to it for like the sidebar data. We don't have to
oh
read
yeah,
your statement if you
yeah.
don't want
I just
it.
realized, I was like, oh, this is something that I still have out there that I should probably read and see if it's still accurate. But
Okay, so 24 yeses, 13 nos. Recent activity kind of slacking here. Only 3 of the last 10 props.
oh, what? I feel like I just hit like 6 in a row. Oh, I haven't voted on the ones that are active right now, so I'm hoping that's the reason.
Yeah, it looks, if I scroll down a little bit, you voted on Hack Week, the Delhi, wallet service, so you've got a good streak right now. Actually, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, you're right on the last 6 ones you voted, so no worries there.
Is that the yin yang accessory?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. I like that one. Index, have you seen that before? I haven't seen that on a noun yet.
I'm looking at it right now, so yeah. But yeah, I don't know any other nouns that have it, but it's a nice one.
I feel like I need to pay more attention to accessories. Like I don't know. It's just not a trait that I like pay a lot of attention to, I think, in the nouns aesthetic. But there's some really cool ones there.
Yeah, that's kind of like, for a while, personally, I was playing around with the heads a lot, mostly my index card head, maybe a few others. But that's kind of when I dove into the grease. I was like, someone should be giving these accessories a little more than they've been getting,
Yeah.
a little more love and attention. And then
Yeah.
I started looking through a lot more, and I haven't quite found one that hits me like grease, but hoping to do like another version of that with some other accessories.
Yeah, we were kind of talk about this sort of at the end, but let's move this up here because you mentioned this, Onion, and this is sort of a core thing that Index and I both know about you that we want to get some content up about there. But it's basically about how nouns is open to participate. You just show up, you start participating. Eventually, someone on Twitter will delegate you their lips noun. Can you say a little bit more about this and kind of your journey?
Yeah, sure. I think the main thing here is, and I think it's a big misconception that people have. Like you see a lot of people who are like, hey, like, oh, I find nouns interesting, but they're so expensive, stuff like that. And I think the real unlock is like once you kind of realize that the noun ownership is very it's very, I would say, independent of like your ability to both provide value and gain value out of that ecosystem. Because like So one, there's a thing of like you don't need to own a noun to have voting influence. Like if you can like somehow convince someone to delegate to you, then now there you are where you have voting influence and you don't own a noun. But then also there's just so many opportunities. Like if you want to like build something or create something or something like that, there's just a lot of opportunities to do that. Um, whether or not you want funding out of it, right? Like there's I think I don't know, someone used the word like permissionless creativity, I think. It was Jack Butcher. Jack Butcher. So Jack Butcher, I think a few like weeks ago, he shared a DM screenshot like, "Oh, I want to get, someone had DM'd him like, "Hey, I want to start, learning design, like what should I do?" stuff like that. And he basically said like permissionless creativity, like just do stuff, just, make designs on like remix different apps, things like that without anyone asking. You don't need permission. Just do it. And so I think that's a real big unlock with nouns where it's like you don't have to there's no reason there's nothing stopping you from making nounish art or like making a tool for nouns or like providing your takes on governance. Like nobody is saying you can't do those things. Nobody's saying that like you need to have xyz to do those things. You can just do them, and once you start doing them, then you start getting some attention or some you can get funding, things like that. Like it's pretty equitable, I would say, and like what is required to get attention or funding or something like that, where it's just like you just do stuff, and if people like it, then you'll get those things. And so I think that's the big unlock is realizing that like noun is a place for permissionless creativity, and it's not just like the culture there, but a lot of it is again like coming back to the model of like okay, it's CCO, which is really like it's native baked into the art that the idea is it's permissionless, or the funding stuff is like it's baked into it that you can build whatever, and if people like it, they'll fund you, um, that sort of thing. So the whole idea is that I would say nouns is designed for permissionless creativity, and so if it's something that you think is interesting, you should just start doing stuff, and not ask anyone for permission. Uh, you don't have to do anything beforehand. Just do what you want to do, I guess. Yeah.
You mentioned you did threads, and I actually remember that. I think you curated like a prop house round or something early on. That's I think how you came across my radar. But what are sort of the other types of things that you've done that you've just started doing? Like we're going to get to your open edition, right? You've done that, but you've done some other programming stuff too, right?
Oh, sure. Yeah, yeah. So I think when I first I think started, the main thing was like yeah, curated governance takes, I would say. So governance being on chain and prop house. So giving my thoughts on proposals, giving my thoughts on prop house rounds. So like yeah, early on I think prop house rounds, and I've done a pretty bad job of continuing with this, I would say, but like prop house rounds get like maybe 30, 40 people to submit proposals, and it's very hard to like actually read all of that. Um, like as a nouner or a noun voter, like you see all those, and it's just a lot to read. And then also with like the Discord going away, there's not really a forum for discussion, like a central forum for discussion, I would say. And so what I started around that time was like, okay, these prop house rounds are coming up. I'll just give my curated takes on those rounds. Like, what do I think? Are the proposals that should win? Why do I like them? That sort of thing. And so that and my takes on on-chain proposals were kind of the first things I did. Actually, the first things I did were just like threads on like NFTs and stuff in general, so nouns and then also NFTs at large. And so that was just like I think like the algorithm, like threads are a good way of like getting attention and stuff. Obviously, they've kind of been warped and distorted in many ways, and people find it very annoying now, rightfully so. But I think like it's a good way it was the only way I guess for long form writing on Twitter is doing threads, right? And so that's what I started with. Then kind of shifting to governance takes, and now I've been experimenting with a little bit more stuff. Less good about I think the governance stuff, but definitely still something I want to keep paying attention to and hopefully sharing when I get the chance to. But yeah.
What do you have any good hot takes on governance? Is there anything, any kind of common view that you take a contrarian view on, or something that you think people should focus on more, or what's a
Yeah,
good
that's a
take?
good question. So I really, so I guess one thing I really like is public infrastructure. So I think that the thing I'm most likely to fund is like if someone builds some sort of software that that is something that like other people can use and like other people can like build on top of or something like that. Like I love that sort of thing where it's like software digital infrastructure funded by nouns, right? And so I think the things like that are like that's actually a oh, sorry. But yeah, like those, a lot of those are like things that I like. Agora, House of Nouns, Nouns Builder, like all of those things fall into that category. Prop House falls into that category, stuff like that. Even like Nouns Wallet Service, which I know got defeated recently, but like that was another thing where it's like that sort of thing is something I like really enjoy and I think is very valuable. I would say that the thing I would like the least, and it is not, I don't like this the least, but I think like the we talk about like proliferating the meme and stuff like that. And I think I try to be intentional about it not just being like um putting noggles, wherever and everywhere and that sort of thing. Like obviously it's a fantastic logo and meme and it's kind of the center of everything we do. But I do think that there is a level of like intentionality about branding that I think we should maybe strive for. But that's like a I don't know if that's like something that I have high conviction in. I just that is one thing that I remember thinking about in terms of like the actual art and meme proliferation. Like we shouldn't just like, get noggles on every billboard in the world or something like that. Like I don't think that's like I guess that's not interesting to me. I think I'm more interested in uh infrastructure and like creative media that extends upon that. So like for example, like the shorts stories, like the I think movies and films and stuff that we funded, stuff like that. But yeah, those are probably my two positions that come to mind.
We're
Um,
gonna we're gonna get into prop house a little bit because you did a prop
sure.
house
Yeah,
round.
yeah,
Just kind of off the top of my head, I think prop house is funded through, I don't know, for another couple months or maybe the summer. I think CDT was on and he's got a little extra funding. What do you think is the right kind of funding model for something like prop house at this point? What
yeah. That's a really good question. I don't know if I could give an answer. I mean, I know some people are of the position that like it should become its own DAO, which I think is certainly cool. It's I think like the idea of like DAO funding software infrastructure is interesting. I'm not actually convinced that the model like will work the same way for something that isn't like a meme or like a brand. Um, but I think that's definitely something interesting that is like worth experimenting with. And I know other DAOs are doing that as well, which is great. Um, yeah, I honestly don't know. I feel like there's room there for like a just like an actual like business, where like maybe other groups like pay to use prop house, but then at that point maybe it's not free open source software, which is like kind of the whole idea of like a public good. It should be like that, right? So that's the other thing there. Open editions I think are a really good monetization scheme. I think they um there's probably something there in terms of like basically NFTs as patronage for creators but also like developers and stuff like that. um Yeah, I'm
Yeah, that's
not
a
I'm
tricky one, kind of with the prop
not yeah.
house. I'm not sure where I lean either. I don't know if DAO is for everything necessarily, and I think there's probably room for like more of a traditional business model in nouns. I guess kind of like Vector DAO that started Agora was kind of like a little bit of a traditional like startup-y type thing.
Yeah,
So there's like there's quite a wide variety. But yeah, I dropped that like old tweet of yours from August in there where you kind of did your
Gotcha. Yeah, this
initial
is my
governance
first time.
analysis. A
Yeah,
little
yeah.
awkward bringing up old tweets, I know, sorry, but
No, no worries, no worries.
I
Yeah, yeah.
liked it from back in the day, and I think this is kind of how I found you too. And I remember, yeah, I would really look to your threads and your thoughts when I was voting through like Nounsel and when I voted with my own noun. Um, but yeah, this is
Oh
like
wow, that's
way back from
cool.
August, so you've been doing it for a while before Agora and House of Nouns even existed. No Nouns Builder. But yeah, I pulled an old one up out of nowhere. Sorry.
Oh no, no worries. That's cool. Yeah, yeah. Um, Damn, it's wild to think that's I guess what 7 months ago. Um, yeah, a lot has happened since then. I guess like, I mean, you look at like Agora and House of Nouns, for example. Those are like full on serious things now. You know, like Optimism and ENS are using Agora. I know a lot of other DAOs are pretty much every nounish DAO is using House of Nouns. So very cool. Yeah, and I think honestly, this is definitely underrated. That these I guess tools or whatever you want to call them were funded initially by Prop House, and now they've kind of like been able to use that to and obviously they've had later funding as well, but like they've been able to kind of stem from that initial funding to become something much bigger than I think anyone might have expected, even to the point where they're doing things totally unrelated to nouns now, which I think is very very cool, very exciting.
Yeah, I've got sort of like a loosely related question, but are you ever looking to kind of like own your own noun? Are you looking to kind of build an army of delegations? Kind of where do you see your takes on governance kind of going?
Yeah, I think it'd be cool to definitely like stay a delegate. I don't know that I have any desire to like get a lot of voting power or stuff like that. I don't see myself like purchasing a noun anytime soon. I think if there were a proposal that I were to do like on chain, like I think I would probably maybe ask for one, but it's just expensive, I guess. And so it has to make like financial sense, I guess, for me to spend that much on an NFT. But I think also, and I have, I guess, what might be a contrarian take is that like if I kind of feel like there's a world in which like the nouns NFTs, um, I guess, are not like the value of the nouns NFT does not come from its governance like ability, because I think we'll see a world where a lot of people who are voting are actually not owners, like they're delegates or they're larger DAOs or things like that. And I think it might mean that people realize like, hey, I can get voting power without actually having to own the noun. Um, and so I think a lot of the value of the noun NFT actually just accrues from like the provenance or the status or something like that. And maybe not necessarily the governance, in which case like I guess I don't know that I care that much about like the other stuff at this point in time, because you can kind of do all that stuff without owning the nouns NFT, right? But I like being a delegate. I think it's a good forcing function to like think critically about stuff, and so I would like to stay a delegate for as long as I can. Um, and I'd probably do like I'd probably participate in some like Agora does like auctions for delegation and stuff like that, which I think would be cool. I would be down to participate in those, but I don't see myself owning a noun anytime soon unless it does start to make financial sense and it's like something that I actually want. Um,
Yeah, of course.
yeah.
I happen to own one, and like I actually kind of I guess I speak to kind of what you're saying because I delegate my vote out.
Uh huh.
So like I own the noun, and I don't even really participate in the governance side of things too much. I have a vote indirectly through Nounsel, I guess is how I participate. But yeah, I delegate my noun. So to me, I guess in some ways that's saying I don't value that part as much as the rest of it. So yeah, you might be right on that one. I
Yeah,
think.
I mean, the cool thing I will say is that like if you decide you want to like start voting yourself, like you can just undelegate and do it yourself, which is like no delegate has that power, right? So that's I would say like there is a level of like like it is yours, like you have ownership over that right when it's yours, which nothing else can replicate besides actually owning the noun. Um,
I want to zoom in here on you said just start doing stuff. What is it about you that you have this attitude? Like, do you have? Is this kind of how you are outside? Is there? I just feel like there are a lot of people who stand on the sidelines and very few people who just start doing stuff. How what's holding other people back? Do you think?
That's a good question. I don't know that I'm like I think that's something that I try to be better about. I don't actually know that I have like a very strong bias for action in real life. Um, but I have like observed that every time that I do take this approach of just start doing stuff, like it definitely like works out. I think the reason being like it requires you to do something in order to like know what the right thing to like iterate on that something and eventually find what you actually want to be doing. Um, and so I guess what I would say is I think it's just like you need to start somewhere to like get get somewhere, I guess. I don't know, that sounds dumb. But like yeah, I guess I would just say like I think you yeah, I mean I guess that's it, right? Like you have to start somewhere in order to like get somewhere. And so if you and I think I guess part of what people struggle with, I would say, is like not knowing what to do. Like they're like, oh, like is this idea good or is this idea bad or like things like that. And so the solution there is just do something, right? Do something and then see how it goes. And from doing something and your experience with that something, you'll be able to figure out what you want to do next that is different or the same or better or something like that. The other thing people struggle with a lot, which rightfully so, is that they're worried about like judgment or like external perception or that sort of thing, um, which I very much like resonate with. And so for me, the solution there was like just going pseudonymous, right? Like if I don't care if people are like externally judging like the things I'm saying or like how I'm acting because it literally doesn't affect any other part of my life, right? Because they don't know who I am, and so that whole external pressure and validation and like judgment and stuff is just like it's not there when you're pseudonymous, which I like. Uh, it definitely like alleviated a lot of concerns there for me, and like I had like and my other kind of real life account, and so that was like on that account, like I never felt comfortable like talking in depth about like any of this stuff for whatever reason. And so now like on this account, it's like easy for me to do that because I have all those pressures taken away. Um, yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
I
Let's
kind of feel like he was talking to me and giving me advice. Um, I didn't mean to cut in there, but like Pan and I are working on a prop for Littles right now, and we've been kind of live streaming every single part of it almost.
Uh-huh.
We do a little bit off stream, but we are like sitting in the hackmd file, and it could be like empty for like 30 minutes, and sometimes I'll just start playing with things, and then it leads to in like a certain direction. But yeah, pretty good advice, and I feel like you were just talking to me right there for that one.
Nice. Yeah.
I think he talks to all of us at certain points. I find that sometimes I do have a bias for action, but sometimes I just don't have it, and I need to psych myself back into it.
Yeah. It's easy to just get stuck in your head. I feel like that's definitely something that I'm trying to work on as much as I can. Because especially the world moves fast. I feel like you kind of just you have to start doing stuff just to keep up, honestly.
Yeah, yeah. So I want to kind of get into this question here of you. You talked to us on sort of a pre-show call that you're really interested in building an identity off a non-human object. But before we get into that, just some quick onion questions here. I got three different styles of onions for your hamburger here. We have
Okay.
caramelized onions here, nice and brown on
Yeah.
this sort of Big Mac like onion. Then we got the just crisp, fresh white onion, plain, not too jarring. It gives you a nice texture, nice little crunch. And then I went for some pickled red onions. oops, on the burger over here. Which of these three do you like on your burger, Onion?
I'm probably going with the middle one, just the crisp white onions. It provides a good crunch, I would say, compared to most. That and the pickles are the only real and the lettuce, I guess. So okay, there are quite a few crunchy things, but I think for a burger, this is probably my go-to, and then the second place would be caramelized onions, and then the third place would be the pickled onions, I'd say.
I think I'm in
honestly, like
agreement.
if I had to choose, like which ones do I want, and I had the option to do all three, I'd probably just be putting all three.
Right. So you're like an
Onion Maxi.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I'm just a burger substance maxi. Like I try to have as much stuff on a given burger or sandwich as like is possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now this one's a little bit more difficult here, but we got sort of the three main kinds of onions, and then kind of their properties, and we're going to see how well you know your onions, and if you can,
I'm so bad at this.
mash this up here. So we got white. Index card did the color on this. Looks a little garlicky to me, but yeah, it's white. Then I did the colors on this red. I'm not happy about the stripes here, but I do like the body onion color. I think that's a really good red onion. And then this, of course, is the nouns onion. This is what you rock. So yeah, three types of onions, kind of three different characteristics. How do we match these up, Onion? You're on the spot.
Okay. I feel like I'm just gonna get this so wrong. I'm not really a chef, or a taster, I guess. But I'm thinking sharp and pungent is white, sweet is red, and mild is yellow. Am I totally off?
You're completely off.
Oh my god! I got every.
That's okay. It's okay.
So
you don't discriminate against any onion. You like them all. So
you like them all. I think sharp and pungent is going to be the red.
Okay.
Right. That's sort of a vibrant, strong onion. That's the kind of onion that's going to make you cry. That's going to, have that sharpness. And then I think yellow is a classic kind of the sweet onion, Vidalia, and white is mild. But yeah, it's a fun little game. We're trying to figure out something to do.
No, good game. I definitely learned something about myself today.
Yeah, look at this. You tweeted here, garlic, beet, onion. One's got to go. Obviously, onion's not going, right? So it's kind of beet or garlic. Which one would you eliminate if you had to?
I'm probably eliminating garlic just because, like, that's the one that people are. Oh, do you mean in real life or as a noun head?
Let's say as a noun head, yeah.
Okay, as a noun head, I'm definitely eliminating garlic. And the reason there is people keep seeing the garlic head and thinking it's the onion. And so just for practical purposes and logistical purposes, I feel like the garlic would just be better for me to be gone. Now, if this were real life, I'm definitely removing the beet because I mean garlic and onion are more staples in the culinary arts than beets are. I feel like, but for a noun head, I'm probably removing garlic out of my self-interest.
Totally understand that. Absolutely. Okay, so yeah, let's get into then. You told us that you kind of started with, you just had this idea, you wanted to build an identity off of a non-human object. Did you think about using other nouns, or can you talk a little bit more about this?
Yeah, for sure. So I think I mentioned this when we were talking earlier, but initially I was inspired by, there's this guy on Twitter named Muni, and he basically had kind of built this Muni, sorry, MEWNY. And he's since like deactivated his account or something, but basically had built his brand that's saying he was a couch. And I thought that was just like very, very funny and interesting and fascinating that he has kind of built a Twitter account as a couch. And so I was like, okay, like I know I'm gonna make an account that's like about nouns. So I like this kind of concept of like, okay, like I'm building a identity as sort of, you know, an object, an inanimate object or something. And so I was just like scrolling through the nouns heads. I was like, okay, which ones are interesting? Which ones like can I make a cool noun out of? Stuff like that. And I don't know what specifically made me land on onion. I know I actually remember seeing beet and was like, oh, should I do beet? But I think I maybe just like in the moment I was just like, all right, you know, fuck it, let's do onion. And that's I think what I ended up kind of going with. Oh well, no, I had initially done toothbrush actually, but then I was like, that's kind of gross, honestly. Like, yeah. So then I was like, okay, I'll switch to onion. But yes, I had initially my PFPN name was my handle was 0x toothbrush. And I was like, okay, let's switch that. Let's do like onion or something. I also considered airplane. That I remember that.
So you
Yeah.
actually you made a Twitter account, like you started out as toothbrush.
Yes. My Twitter account was initially 0x toothbrush, and then I switched it to be onion with 7 N's. And I had never actually tweeted by the time when I was toothbrush. So I don't think anybody actually knows me as toothbrush or interacted with any tweets as toothbrush, but that was initially this account was called 0x toothbrush. Yeah.
Have you ever considered launching an alter ego now, Toothbrush, and giving like counter arguments to all your takes on governance?
I
You could put
haven't
7 O's.
until this conversation, but now I'm thinking about it.
We like to talk a lot about like launching like kind of like I don't know, like really embodying our nouns and playing them as
Yeah,
characters, and then like the idea of coming up with like counter characters has come up a lot.
that's very
Like
funny.
Panda's kind of working on like a delegate kind of persona. But yeah, I think on the Noun Square yesterday, was it? Yeah, I admitted that for a moment. I don't think really anybody knew who I was too much either, but I had drawn a curling stone, and so my PFP for a while was a curling stone before the index card.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you pull that curling stone up? I love the curling stone. And I will notice that onion. It seems like toothbrush and onion are kind of a good pair. Like you eat an onion, you gotta brush your teeth.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Was there any connection there, or just
I don't
just
think
kinda
so.
random?
Yeah, I don't know if I made that connection. Maybe subconsciously though. Oh, nice. That's cool.
Yeah, that was like the second trait I drew during Noundry, and for some reason, I chose that as my PFP, and I had already designed the index card, so I don't know, maybe not sure what I was thinking going with the curling stone, but I was feeling the goofiness of it.
It's definitely, I would say it's nounish. I like the mouth, the teeth. I do appreciate how like the heads have anthropomorphic features built in, you know, like mouths and like the tears and stuff like that. I think it's cool. There's one of them has a mustache. I forget which one it is.
The builder hat I think has one. There's maybe a couple others that have something like it. I should know this. I've studied these traits so much.
Back to onions for a second. Onion has, since you've kind of become this onion identity, have you changed your outlook on onions in IRL? Like, do you ever go to the grocery store and you just look extra specially at the onion bin or anything like that?
No, I don't think so. Yeah, I guess I feel like my Twitter persona is like sufficiently independent of my real life persona, so I don't really like think about like the nature of like the fact that my name is Onion on Twitter, like in real life. Even saying that out loud like feels kind of weird to me, I would say.
Why?
Well, I guess I've never like I don't know, like I've never like talked to a lot of people in real life about like the fact that I like have this identity named Onion. Like there are cases where like at Eats Denver, for example, I like met a lot of people and I like in nouns and introduced myself to them as like Onion, but like only that and like I guess DevCon earlier was like the 2 times where I've actually said like, "Hey, I'm Onion," and so it's just not like something that comes up in my my off chain life that much. Which is
Fair enough.
interesting. I've actually never thought about that until now. Also, like the relationship between my my on chain and off chain identities.
What about you, Panda? You use Panda in kind of like real life and merge the two a little bit, or no?
I don't use it in IRL, but I think of the traits of pandas that I try to live up to. You know, friendliness, playfulness.
For sure.
I would say, yeah. I mean, I don't say, oh, I'm a little panda. I don't actively hold myself out that way, but I do aspire to behave like a little panda, nounish. You know. What about you, Index?
Not I mean not really at all, but like sometimes I do try to explain that like I live this kind of like almost a second life of sorts, and that like on the internet I'm an index card. Um, it's pretty difficult to explain. First, it's difficult to explain nouns, and then second, it's even harder to kind of go over the fact that you portray this index card persona on the internet. So sometimes I bring it up, sometimes I don't, but yeah.
Yeah, we're working on this.
That is fantastic.
This is a famous New Yorker cartoon that we're working on. Index, when you go to like an office store and the index cards are on like discounted sale, I mean, how does that make you feel? Does that make you feel like you're not as valued, or it's like your friends are going home, or what do you think?
I mean, there's all sorts of index cards, you know, like you got to have them all sorts of levels. Gonna proliferate the meme. So cheap index cards, premium index cards on nice card stock. You know, you got to have the whole spectrum if you want to proliferate the meme. So, and I actually have been admitting this a lot. I didn't own any index cards when I designed the noun, and I'm kind of embarrassed to admit it. I had to steal some from my girlfriend, but I never owned any. I've bought some now. I got some actually really nice premium ones on my desk from this French company. Not quite nounish, but you know.
What about
Started
them are not
collecting.
nounish?
It's got like rounded corners, you know.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So, and they're not actually lined like mine is. They're kind of fancier, you know. They got like these
Oh,
rules to them. They got graph look to them, but yeah.
what did you use as a reference when you were drawing, or was it off the dome?
It was pretty much all like just completely on the spot. I did use previous like in other noun heads kind of to guide me. So I really stuck with the color palette of other nouns
Yeah,
and the
yeah.
nouns palette, and then also just kind of the framework. So the void head is almost the same dimensions, just slightly off.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I just stuck with the nouns heads, and then I think after I made it, I googled index card and checked kind of to see if I got it right. But I mean, you know, I'd used index cards before. It's the simplest noun I think out there, or one of them. But yeah.
We could should we go to prop house? Should we talk about your prop house round, Onion?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's pull that up. Yeah, so you did. You and NX Card both had your own personal prop houses. This was last week, 2 weeks ago. Index and I actually both won. Look at this Onion Index. Oh, this is your PFP. You just took the Onion Index card.
Yeah, yeah. It's the one Index made. Very nice. I liked it.
Yeah. What was your experience like with prop house? What was this about? What you expected? Did anything surprise you? You got
I was
37 props.
I was definitely surprised to see like the amount of people that put stuff and also the quality. Like I don't think I had expectations coming in, but like definitely like the one thing that I wanted was like, okay, I really hope we'll get 4 so that like at least the money can go to everyone. like at least people will hit the minimum that's required to do the reward distribution. And then but I was honestly pretty surprised we got almost 40 props. I think it's cool to see kind of the different types of art that people made. A lot of it was like AI stuff, and I think that was like I had specifically I made a post about like hey, like if it's very easy to use like nouns AI to make like nounish AI art. I think after that like a few people put in AI stuff. But I was very happy just to see the turnout, and it was honestly like quite a surreal feeling. I think similar feeling with the open edition just now, but like just the fact like it was the first time I think I had like done something for nouns that required like people to perform some sort of action. In this case, like creating an art and then submitting it, and so it was very cool to see like just so many people create stuff. I really enjoyed that. And yeah, there's cool stuff like real life stuff like this. People made cartoons, people made AI art, people made derivatives like the index card one, that sort of thing, and the ones you made as well. So yeah, I really enjoyed it, and then the actual process was very easy, like setting up. I'm sure index card you can speak to this also, but you just kind of fill out a form and then it's all just set up automatically, and then I think the hard part is honestly like getting people to vote, especially like for this one. Like, so I didn't personally decide the winners here. Like, I had all the, it was just all noun holders could vote. And I you feel weird like kind of like shilling your prop house around like a lot, And I think that's something that I like definitely felt weird about doing, and like especially getting people to vote and stuff. Like that's kind of hard, I think, but overall, like I'm a deep prop house maxi, and I think it was cool to have the experience of like setting up my own round, and definitely want to do some stuff in the future. Just don't know what yet, but yeah.
Yeah, you kind of ran the round that I had always wanted to run since buying my index card. I kind of always dreamed of people just kind of making fun derivative meme art.
Yeah.
And then I never ran one, and I started kind of just doing it on my own. But yeah, you kind of ran the round I always wanted to.
Yeah, yeah.
I might. I mean, I ran my round too. I had
Right, yeah, yeah.
50 prizes, which was kind of rough. But that was kind of the part of it, the point of it. And I hit 55 submissions, so I hit the threshold. A couple of duplicate entries, but yeah, it was really fun. And for me, I kind of went the other direction in that I minted my own token so that I could vote on the props. And that was the first time I think I actually minted anything to Ethereum. I've minted to Teslas and stuff before, but on
Nice.
Ethereum, I don't think I ever had actually minted. So it kind of forced me to play around with some contracts, and
Yeah.
I had to create some art to mint the token. But yeah,
So
it feels weird to shill.
next card token now.
Yeah, I used you kind of did the same thing. I released a like commemorative
Yeah, yeah.
token to celebrate the people that submitted, and I minted one of those to myself before the round began. So that was kind of the voting token, and now there's like 30 or so or 50 of them out there, and I may use that in voting in the future. We'll see.
Yeah. Nice.
What about you, Panda? You ever gonna run one, you think? If you're there. We lost him for a moment.
I think he
No,
might
I'm
be
here.
muted.
I'm here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm interested in these infinite rounds. We've been talking about that index, like a infinite nouns kind of prop house round. I think that's probably what I'll end up doing first. But yeah, let's move on to this onion. Did you see this noun 658 here? Is this dark
I did,
factory?
yeah. Very. That's a banger noun for sure.
Did you see this entry that TNS ran a contest to sort of memify this noun? And did you see this entry?
This I did not see. Whoa. People. Holy. Oh, wow. This is cool.
I saw this,
Yeah.
and first I was like, whatever. But then I read it and I realized, hey, this is somebody who I thought it was you, but apparently this is not
No,
you.
I did not submit this. This is my first time seeing this. That's funny. That's cool though. I like that.
And I just love how they looked at this factory and they thought, well, what is this smoke? Let's make this smoke sort of onion, which
Yeah.
is sort of brings in this kind of papal, the Pope, and they all lock themselves up and then the
Right.
smoke
Yeah.
comes
Yeah.
out. So interesting. So this is not you then. Do you think this was like a friend trolling you, or who do you think did this?
I have no idea. So it was. I wasn't really following this at all. So there's like an art contest around the noun, and this was just
Yes.
one of the submissions.
Yep.
Gotcha. Yeah, I have no idea. Maybe, yeah, maybe just someone. I don't know.
I've got the submitter, and they were actually in our chat on YouTube, so they're a very big Onion fan. I don't know if they're Onion U fan or just onions in general, but
Oh
if
yeah,
they're
yeah, yeah. Yes, they also submitted something to the Onion Obsessed. I didn't see that. Yeah, they submitted something to Prop as well. I remember I really liked their submission. Yes, yeah, yeah. I'm familiar with this person. Yeah, yeah. That's cool though.
Yeah, GM Degenerate Homo Sapiens watching us on YouTube dropped a comment. We appreciate that. Yeah, let's see what else. What else do we want to cover? Index. Should we go to? Oh, this. I love this meme you posted here, Onion. Can you talk about why you were feeling this way this weekend?
Yeah, this was definitely very AI existential dread related. I don't know what happened last weekend, but I was definitely like just going like having a little bit of a breakdown over AI. But that was the two feelings, either AI is going to take away everything, so nothing matters, or AI is going to take away everything, which means we can do whatever we want, so nothing matters. But that was definitely like how I was for about a good 48-hour period from Friday to Sunday.
Have you been using like ChatGPT or reading about it, or what's
Yeah.
the
So
basis of
I've been
your?
using GPT-4 quite a bit, mostly for coding. So I'm not really technical by background, so I've been trying to learn, and so just kind of as a learning assistant, just playing around with it, I think has been. I've been trying to like do it at least every day, just so I can like get really familiar with it and get better at, prompting and all that sort of stuff. I haven't used like Midjourney or Dolly much. That's kind of like I think the next area I want to start doing more, but it's definitely crazy. It's very wild, I would say, which I think everyone would say that, but yeah.
I think a little bit like a meta on this, not necessarily about the AI component, but what Little Panda and I talked about right before we came on, and we were kind of preparing earlier for this with our Figma file. One of the things we really appreciate, and I think it's why you have the audience you've developed and why you've received a delegation, is that you just share like your thoughts, and not many people really do that. And so like I feel like this tweet is a perfect encapsulation of just you sharing and being open about how you feel and your thoughts on things. So yeah, I don't know. That's kind of like, I think that's what separates you from other people.
Yeah, I like using Twitter as just like a stream of consciousness notes app type situation, which I think partially is like because I'm pseudonymous, I like feel more comfortable doing that. But yeah,
So I think maybe I might have to launch another Anon account and like an alter ego or something.
do it. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, we've been talking about the outlet noun. At least I just love the outlet noun. Where is that outlet? Yeah, right here.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
I think outlet is ripe for someone to just take the outlet mantle and run with it. Incidentally, I've also been thinking about doing outlet physicals to color match the colors and selling outlet covers. I think that'd be a big hit.
What's the most obscure physical someone could release? I feel like outlet's got to be up there. Have you? What about a line of
sideways?
onions?
Look at this. You made a sideways outlet. Index, did you do this?
I did, like a few weeks ago.
I like that.
onion physicals. Are we going to see anything? Release a line of onions?
I feel like they would like go bad by the time they got shipped to everyone. Maybe some toys or some. I know. I think David Horvath. I mean, those are garlic, right? But
I think the genesis of them were garlic, but obviously once they're painted and in that form, it could be whatever.
yeah. I don't know. I actually tweeted something recently. Like, I want to build a. I think I said something like I want to build a physical product. Like I think it would be cool to like do a project like that. I don't know if it would be onion related, but I do want to like just produce something that I can touch with my hands somehow. I don't know what that is or what that looks like, but that is.
Yeah, I remember that tweet. Was there anything that like kind of prompted that tweet to come out?
I don't think so. It was just like something that I realized I had never had any experience with, I guess. Oh, actually no, it was so the prop recently came out about the nouns deli in Australia. And so that's not a physical product, like it's actually like a location and like a business and stuff. It's not like something that you could ship to your house. But it made me realize oh, things that like not everything is software. I feel like I live in a very, at least on like the internet, a lot of the stuff I consume and think about is like software related, and so I was just thinking about like, okay, what are things that are not software that like are still cool to kind of spend time and energy towards like creating or building something. So I've had some ideas. Like one was like I think like a puzzle series. Like there's a ton of cool like nouns art. I feel like it's a great fit for somebody to make like a series of puzzles, basically of nounish art. Or like a card game. Like I was playing also Monopoly Deal, I think, and I tweeted a picture of that, and it was like some people commented on that. I was like, oh, I feel like it makes sense for there to just be like noun style playing cards, or like or like instead like there's a queen crown head and a king crown head and stuff like that. Like I feel like it makes so much sense for there just to be like a nounish iteration of a 52 card deck. Those are like some ideas I had around physical goods that I could work on and produce, but just generally just like kind of experimenting in the world of like not software things, I think, or not digital things, I would say.
Yeah, I feel you on that. I have like a whole nother world outside of nouns, I guess, and kind of like nouns is sort of would be like my physical and it's digital. I don't know. So I'm like in the opposite direction because my other world is very like active and physical,
Right.
and then nouns is so like I'm almost in some ways like the opposite. But yeah, I could see wanting to create something physical being really just like a enjoyable process to dive into and figure out.
Cool, I think. Yeah, like it's a different level of, I think, probably a fulfillment or something, like seeing something that you can hold in your hands versus on a screen. Which also has its own, merits for sure. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why I put this igloo here, but I was just thinking like nouns igloos.
Yeah.
I don't know. It'd be like one of the weirdest physicals I think we could produce is a nouns igloo.
I feel like a snow globe or something could be cool.
What about Panda? What noun would you bring to life?
I really am obsessed with the outlets.
Yeah.
I really think we got to do an outlet. One thing I am interested in showing off is I haven't looked at the bit noun onion. Have you seen these bit nouns? They're kind of like mini little nouns. Let's see what happens.
So.
Yeah, it's been in the works for a little bit, but it's coming
baby
out
onion. Oh, it's a little baby onion.
Let's see, man.
Oh wow. Yeah, I saw like nano nouns when I think it came out. Or like the idea of it, I guess. That's cool though. It's cute. Yeah, that's one thing that I didn't I didn't realize until I started playing around with the actual onion art. I didn't realize that it's actually not symmetrical at the top. Like I don't even know what the term is for the thing that sprouts out. But this makes it more obvious here. But it's actually
root.
Yeah, the root maybe. That was just one thing I noticed. I thought was interesting.
Well, isn't the onion the root technically?
Yes, you're right.
I think I don't know. Actually, no. I should know this. I garden a little bit.
The
here.
sprout. Yeah, I don't know what it would be.
A little bit of looks nice.
Yeah. Also, I could tell Onion likes the carrot accessory too. That's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good question. What made you choose the carrot?
Just that it had like the same, vegetable consistency with onion. I felt like it made sense,
Are you a soup maxi?
In my soup maxi.
Yeah, like onions, carrots. You put them in like a nice little stew soup.
I would say I wouldn't say I'm a maxi, but I enjoy consuming that genre of food, like soups and stews and things like that. Yeah, that's probably a better word, enjoyer.
French onion soup fan?
No, I don't know about. I don't think I've ever had French onion soup.
Wow. We got to go somewhere. We got to go out somewhere. Take you for some French onion soup or something.
French onion soup. Yes, I've actually never had this.
It's all onions. It's a little bit of cheese and bread. I don't know if you're a cheese guy. You got to be a little bit of a cheese guy for it.
I would say I'm a cheese guy. Yeah.
It's a bit cannibalistic almost, no?
I mean, I'm writing on index cards.
True. There's some good French onion soup. Awesome. Okay, well, should we any last thoughts to add, Onion, before we wrap up and put this episode to bed?
No, I guess
where do you expect to take the character? Like where do you see Onion in a year and 5 years?
That is a good question. I try not to think too far in advance. Just because things change. I mean, for a while I was like I wanted to kind of like rebrand and just kind of like drop the onion thing, but now I think at this point I think I'm kind of too deep in to do that. And I also like it. Like I like the idea of having like a meme around my identity and stuff. But no, I think honestly just like I think I want to definitely do more creative and like development stuff. Like I think so far my my presence on Twitter has largely been like talking, like just sharing thoughts and like the governance stuff, that sort of thing. But like I think I've with the prop house round and the open edition, I think I've done like I just feel like I think I'm more compelled now to like actually start putting stuff out in the world of I guess like substance. And so that's probably where I want to go, at least in the near future. I have some ideas of things I'm working on and stuff like that. But that's kind of it. Like I want to make art and software and be someone who makes art and software.
Is that what kind of set you on the path to doing your Onion open editions?
I would say that was like the first instance of it, and that part was like I think that was also like for my skill level, like it was a thing that was like sufficiently, I think, adequate, where it was like I had to learn stuff to do that, but it was also not like super out of reach. And so I think my goal is just kind of progressively do more and more complex things, and just build up like my personal skill set while also, putting cool narrative stuff into the world.
Beautiful onions. Ooh, look at this suit. I know a microwave that'd be interested in this one.
Yeah, I'm like you. I guess this is the just do it thing, but with the prop house round and the meme contest, and then like this kind of like open edition Jenner thing. These are two things that I've thought about with my own index card. I just never really did them, and I guess power to you for going out and
Well, you
actually
should. I
like
mean, you
putting
should
code
totally
on
still do
chain.
that, I would say.
Yeah, I was considering saving it for kind of like the year anniversary of my
Yeah.
index card,
Yeah.
but there's something about just going and doing it too because I started minting now, and I guess once you start minting, why hold it so
Yeah. Putting things
preciously?
on chain is addictive in a sense. I feel like.
Yeah. Do you know
So
what
what
kind
did
of like
you?
your
These
next
were
on chain?
Yeah, so the one thing I was thinking of, and I actually shared this in the Hack Week channel, is the idea of like build a noun on chain. Like I'm really fascinated by the idea of like NFTs are like digital objects, not just like images or representations. And so one thing is, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Shields, but Shields is an NFT project where like you own a shield that is it's minted in like an unbuilt state, and then you can go to their website and kind of design and build your shield, and then you do a transaction and your metadata updates to be the shield that you built. Um, and so I like that idea of like, okay, the NFT is like a canvas where you can kind of design your own art on that canvas. And so I was kind of thinking of doing the same thing, but applied to nouns, where it's like basically nouns playground on chain. Like, you mint an NFT, it comes as just like a blank canvas, and then you can figure out what kind of noun you want to draw and then transact, and it turns into that. So that's one thing that I'm thinking about. I have the contract mostly done. I'm kind of scared of the front end part of it, so I haven't started that yet. But whether or not I'll actually deploy that to mainnet, I don't know yet. But it's one idea that I've been hacking on, and then have a couple other ones down the line, but haven't really started on those yet.
Sorry, Pan, I kind of cut you off before there.
no problem. No problem at all. It's interesting. I mean, I was just going to ask. I mean, yeah, we Index Card and I have sort of been flirting with doing some kind of NFT drop. It sounds like you have no regrets. You learned a lot. You appreciate having done it. What advice would you give to us?
Yeah, I would say. I mean, so the first thing I would just say is like, don't think too much. It's easy to, I would say, like ice yourself out. Like even I like was very I wasn't sure about like putting this out there. I was like I should have reviewed the contract more, stuff like that, things like that. And I was just like, okay, fuck it, let's just do it. And worst case, if something actually goes wrong, like I'll just refund people, and like it's not the end of the world. But the other thing I would just say is like that's probably the only thing I would say is like don't think too much. I think the people at Zora have like a saying, just mint it. I think that's probably a good philosophy to abide by. Um, but I do think that there is some extent to like where you should do the converse and like be intentional about like what you want to mint. Like I don't know exactly what you guys are thinking about, but like whether it's like a collection or an edition or something on chain or off chain or whatever, like
I think Index has spent a lot more time thinking about this than I have.
I mean,
Yeah,
the,
happy to
the
know.
minimum is, you could. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, let's hear it from you. What's the
No,
minimum?
I was just gonna say, like, you could mint each of these live streams as like an addition or something. But if you guys already have plans, obviously that makes more sense around what you want to do. But
Yeah, let's talk through that. I mean, it just feels like I don't know. I feel like no one would buy it, but I don't think that's a good
that's
reason to not mint it.
I think that's like a good point that a lot of people probably share. But I think I guess it depends on like what your goals are, right? Like if it's just putting media on chain, you don't even need to mint it like for something like a cost. You can just mint to yourself, and then if nobody buys it, like at least you've put it on chain. Now I think the buying stuff comes into factor when it's like, okay, am I using this as like a as like a income source or like a funding stream for my project or something like that, where it's like, okay, then like it's, what will people buy, what will people want to support. But if it's just like, let's mint it just to mint it, then I think at that point, it doesn't really matter who buys it. You could make it free if you wanted.
Yeah, we've talked maybe about something like that, maybe releasing the entire Figma file after we do one of these because it
That
gets
would
kind
be
of
sick.
crazy.
Oh, I'm all for that.
We
I don't know you
also,
guys, but yeah.
yeah, I guess we also have some other like ideas around like the gaming concept that we have of nouns, but not fully fleshed out.
Mhm.
But I also know you got kind of feedback from Noun 40 about how you set your price a little too cheap. So, real quick, if you have any kind of like thoughts on the pricing that you had.
That was interesting. I mean, for me, my thinking was like, okay, I honestly don't know what to price it, but like, let's just make it cheap enough to where like nobody has any issues with it, and like, that I just kind of went with it. I also like I didn't care too much about like making a lot of money from it. My main thing was like, okay, hopefully I can make enough to like cover gas costs, because for me the gas cost wasn't just the like Zora deployment, but also I had to write a custom contract, and so because I'm not a slated developer, I think it was probably pretty inefficient, which means it was more expensive than it had to be. So it cost me like, I think like 80-90 bucks to deploy the contract, and so at that point I was like, okay, hopefully I can at least get like 40 50 minutes, and that would kind of cover the gas cost, and I would at least break even. That was my only thing with pricing. But he makes a good point, I think, where it was like, if you want to, I guess, like the buyers also want to feel like they are supporting the creator, and maybe it's weird if like, the gas cost is more than what the creator is getting for a given NFT. So yeah, I think if I were to do it again, I probably would maybe do it a little higher, maybe 0.002 or 0.0025 instead of 0.001. But I don't have any regrets in terms of like, oh, I made less than I could have if I priced higher like that. Like I just wanted to kind of put it out there, and it seemed like people were very receptive to it, which was an amazing feeling. But yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I actually just pulled it up now. It's interesting. You have 2 listed on secondary right now. At like I know this is like floor talk is kind of like antithetical to this whole weird thing, but like it's your floor price is 0.11 right now. No sales, but that's just kind of fun to see, I guess.
Yeah, it is
Um,
interesting to see what people think that I guess other people will buy it at.
yeah.
But yeah, I don't expect any to really trade on secondary just because it's like it's a random thing. But that would be interesting if people did end up paying like more than.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah.
Awesome. To be continued on this index. I'm sure we'll have more discussions. But let's get going to wrap up here. We have one big reveal, don't we? Tell us about your pinata index card. Round. You are can't hear you, Index.
Okay. My bad.
Yep.
So yeah, there's potentially a cryptos event in New York City coming up for NFT NYC. I own a cryptode. I hang out there, and I had the idea of just having a pinata of my toad, people beating the hell out of it, and like prizes coming out, maybe some chocolate, because that's kind of like a cryptodes meme, and then maybe even some NFTs like claims kind of fall out of it.
Yeah.
But I received the pinata like live on air earlier, and I couldn't resist unboxing it. But the quick story is, this is kind of my toad eating a mushroom on the left. This is like a voxel version of it. And then this is another project called Croaks, which is kind of like a 3D reference I used for it.
I have a Croaks. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And it's not really my toad, but I was like, I'm gonna forward this to the people making it. They can use it kind of to see what a 3D toad might look like. And
how did you find the people to make it? Is this like a local business or?
I did not go to my local pinata maker like recommended, and maybe that's kind of where I went wrong.
So this is an online thing that
Yeah,
got
this
shipped
is
to
an
you?
online purchase, and the quality of the pinata is really good. But I was like, all right, I kind of want this first and the second one to be like the main. This is just to kind of guide how to 3D. But of course, I don't know which one you think I got, but see if I can paste it here. And then I gotta just change the saturation here real quick. All right, this is the big reveal.
Oh my.
Oh, that's not bad. That's not bad.
So of course they use the croaks, and that's not really my
Yeah,
toad, but it's absolutely ridiculous in real life. So
that's funny. I feel like it's a like Toads people will like that though.
I hope so. I don't know.
It's
I think
it
it'll be
has the
fun.
absurdness and weirdness of that's hilarious. I love that.
Yeah,
Is
it's
it
about like
stuffed already, or are you going to stuff it?
nah.
with
I got to fill it. There's a hole up top. I'll take recommendations. Maybe
Is
onion.
it-
Maybe I'll put an onion in there.
Is it at least 3.5 inches wide? The hole.
I could fit some stuff in there. Yeah. Some cards.
Yeah,
But
amazing.
yeah, it's like 3 feet wide, so it could take a lot of ingredients and contents. Yeah. Anyway, that's kind of the pinata story for now. Not quite what I was looking for, but absolutely ridiculous.
Nice.
And,
Yeah.
and you're going to
hilarious.
supply us with some video of people banging on it, right, Index?
I hope so.
Just we got to make a GIF of that. Then anytime you take a beating in Discord, we play the GIF of you getting whapped on by a pipe or a baseball bat.
Yeah. I don't want to get too off track, but really the genesis of this idea was I had the thought of throwing my noun a birthday party. And so like, of course I wanted a pinata at the birthday party. So I'm kind of testing it out with the toad. Maybe I should have saved it for my
Right,
noun's birthday party, but can you imagine like, index card birthday party in New York City?
That
Amazing.
would be dope.
What day was your down born?
So like I designed my index card in June, but my noun really I acquired it October 24th, I think. Or that's the birthday. Let me check real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, born October 24th. So
you got some time. It's basically half birthday, right? Or half birthday next month.
Yeah, half
almost
birthday coming up.
half birthday.
A month
Yeah.
till half birthday.
So dumb, but yeah. That's the pinata story. Anyway.
Awesome. We're gonna look forward to that. We're gonna all keep posted for invites to the index card birthday party next October 24th. Awesome. Thank you both for joining us as always. Index card, onion with 7. Well, I guess you got 8 N's, but there's 7 right here. So for all those who want to follow him, it's ONNNNNNNION at Twitter. Onion, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was great. This is the first time I've been on like any sort of, I guess, audio conversation on the internet. So very, very cool.
Thank you for coming. I really enjoyed it. I feel like we're kind of playing nouns in a very similar fashion. We had our prop houses. You're doing the generative onion. I want to do a generative index card. I don't share quite as many takes as you, but maybe I'll be inspired to kind of just go for it from here.
For sure. Yeah, I'd love to see it.
And Onion, will you come back on the show when we get our prop up on nouns?
Sure.
Or even before, as we're developing it. Index and we're working our way up to nouns. We got to have you back. We got to earn your vote. Hopefully you'll retain that delegation, and maybe you can even write a nice little thread about us. But that's probably coming, I don't know, a month or 2, maybe 3. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. This has been Keep Nouns Weird, episode 3. Thanks everyone for joining us. We'll be back probably next week with another special guest. We're still working on booking that exactly, but look for us next Thursday night probably. We'll see you then.
Awesome. Have a good night, y'all.